Hey YA nerds, my name is Kaye and I like to read a lot, and welcome to Kaye Reads a Lot. I know it's kind of been a little while since I posted a video, for that I am sorry, but I had to get a new phone and I just kind of got really busy with my 3 jobs. But now I'm going back down to 2 jobs, yay! So I can start posting, reviews again. So here we are, another review. This week I wanted to talk about An Assassin's Guide to Love and Treason by Virginia Boecker. I actually read this book in 2019, so it has been 2 years, but I do kind of mostly remember what it's about. So that's a really good thing. I also want to give out a special shout out to my best friend Megan, who got me this book. Obviously love the title. It's a journal. I don't usually use them, but I kind of figured with this YouTube channel, this might actually be a good thing to use because I can write down everything that I have to talk about with the book, and it just will make my life easier. Also, as you can see, we have kind of a new setup. I got really tired of pinning up that sheet and then taking it down and pinning it up and taking it down over and over again every time we had to shoot. And also the lighting where I was facing wasn't that great. This is so much better. You can kind of get a glimpse at the graphic novels and manga that I do own, as well as some of my pop figures and some art stuff that I've done. And I don't know, it's easier. We'll see how long I keep this up. Who knows, I might keep just changing things. So anyway, back to the book, An Assassin's Guide to Love and Treason. So this one was published October 23rd, 2018. It's historical YA, and it's 374 pages. Like I said, I did read it in 2019, but I read it like the very beginning of 2019, so it has been 2 years almost exactly. So let's talk about it. An Assassin's Guide to Love and Treason follows Catherine, whose father is an insurrectionist during the time of Queen Elizabeth I. This is also when Shakespeare was really big, so it takes place kind of in that weird, like, Elizabethan era. You don't really see a lot of books that take place during this time period, or at least you didn't in 2019. I feel like a lot more authors are starting to, like, explore this time, which I think is great. So anyway, Catherine's father is murdered almost in front of her, actually I think in front of her, in her house, and she discovers that he's actually part of a plot that's trying to take down Queen Elizabeth I. Her father was a Catholic, which at the time was illegal. I know that sounds so crazy, right? Because like Catholics are everywhere now, so imagine it being illegal. It's crazy. And she decides to join up with his insurrectionist crew in order to avenge his death, but also kill the queen herself. Thus enters our love interest, Toby Ellis, who works for the queen as one of her spies, and who is in charge of trying to root out insurrectionists. He does this by actually recruiting William Shakespeare and performing a play with the Rose Theatre to kind of find out who else is trying to kill the queen. Catherine joins the troupe as a girl disguised as a boy, and things happen. So I really enjoyed this book for a lot of reasons, and we'll get into it more, but I'm pretty sure that's the basis of the plot. Toby and Catherine kind of get involved midway through the book, except he thinks that Catherine's a boy. So it's pretty interesting. So now we talk about the tropes. As you guys know, I love talking about the tropes. We have a list of over 40 tropes that I keep referring back to. A lot of people think that tropes can be a very negative thing, but when it comes to books, I feel that using tropes helps you find books that you like to read. So how did I come across this huge list of tropes? Well, couple different ways. I searched the internet, I used movie tropes and TV tropes, fanfiction tropes. I am also a librarian, so it was easy for me to come up with this list, and I got some help from my friends. Hi, Tessa. And that kind of got me where this list is. So here's the tropes for An Assassin's Guide to Love and Treason. We have broken family units. Catherine watches her father get killed in front of her and then doesn't have a family at that point. Toby is just as bad. I'm pretty sure he's an orphan in the book. So there you go. Brooding Bad Boy. Toby is kind of a badass. Kind of. He's a spy for the queen, but there's more to him than that. I can't tell you what the more to him is without spoiling the book, so we're just going to leave it at that. Communication is key. If the two main characters would just talk to each other, if they would just have a conversation, an honest conversation, a lot of their problems would be solved. Disastrous First Dates. So Toby and Catherine, disguised as a boy, go on a date together. And it turns into a disaster, but it actually brings them closer together. So who knew? Enemies to lovers. This one's very obvious. Both Toby and Catherine are placed on opposite ends of the same conflict, but they end up falling for each other anyway. We also have found family. When Catherine joins the troop, she really doesn't expect to get close to anybody. She actually expects to just use the troop and then kill the queen and get the heck out of there. But they welcome her as one of their own, and she kind of finds new family in that. We also have Masquerade. Catherine's pretending to be a boy. She's changed her name and she's pretty much a spy at this point. So there's her masquerade. That's her mask. We also have switching point of view. So this book, it's not told in first person. I'm pretty sure it's told in, oh no, wait, maybe it is first person. It's told in first person. I knew that. So it switches back and forth between Toby and Catherine. There you go. We also have Youths in Danger. I use this one a lot when I talk about YA books, and maybe I should stop using it, but it is important to note that, you know, the conflict of this book doesn't just extend to like a normal conflict. It also is like their lives are in danger. So if they're discovered, they could be murdered. And that's kind of driving the plot of the book. So that's it for tropes. If you think of any tropes that I have never covered, or you want to know more about the tropes, feel free to drop a comment down below. In the description, I will have the actual definitions of these tropes as I've typed them out into a Google Doc, and you can kind of see where my brain is ticking from there. Read-alikes is the best part of the review because I do some read-alikes, yeah. Here we are, my favorite part of any review, where I talk about the books that remind me of this book and vice versa. As you all may know, or if it's your first time watching a video, hello, I'm a librarian, and part of my job is finding books for people based on what they've already read and what they like. Hence, read-alikes. So, for this book, and let me just say, I've not read like any of these books except for the one I'm recommending, so forewarned. But for this book from Goodreads, we have Ignite the Skies by Maura Milan. I don't know anything about this book. I think it takes place in space. It's a sci-fi book. I'm pretty sure the reason this book's recommended from Goodreads is because the main character is a girl disguised as a boy. Very good, Goodreads. You did a good job. You found something that matches. From Novelist, we have My Lady Jane, and that's by Cynthia Hand. This is a really popular series. It's actually been recommended to me on a couple of occasions, and as far as I know, it takes place kind of during that Elizabethan era, and it follows, it's based on history, and it follows this woman, I don't know if she's a princess or not, I'm so sorry, but she's supposed to marry the king, the future king, and he ends up marrying her to a horse that turns into a man. And apparently there's like historical context that has to do with this, where there was a young woman named Jane who was married off to a horse instead of the king because he didn't want to marry her or something like that. So this book kind of takes that and turns it on its head into a fantastical way, and we have My Lady Jane. At least that's as much as I know about the book from reading about it online. I could be wrong. And for my recommendation, we have A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and that's by Mackenzie Lee. I read A Gentleman's Guide recently-ish, and it's a series that I really enjoy. The reason I recommend Gentleman's Guide with regards to an Assassin's Guide, first of all, the titles are very similar. Second of all, there is some conflict that, you know, the main characters are in danger and it drives the story forward. And third of all, they're both queer works. I didn't mention it earlier, but in Assassin's Guide, Toby is bisexual. That's why he's attracted to Catherine when she's dressed as a boy. But later when he finds out that she's a girl, spoiler alert, I guess, he's still attracted to her. And at first, you just think Toby's gay the whole book, which fine. but that nice little twist towards the end of the book really sold it for me. Likewise, in The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, Monty is also bisexual. Monty sleeps around a lot, God bless him, and Monty ends up falling for his best friend. It's no spoiler, it happens in the way beginning of the book. And both books kind of explore this love that blossoms from friendship, but also from possibly your death based on a plot. And so I kind of feel like these two books are very similar in that regard. They're also both really fun books. I had a great time reading both of them, so that goes hand in hand too, I guess. And now everyone's favorite part, where I rate the book the same thing I rate every book. Of course this book gets a 10 out of 10 from me. Of course it does. Why would it not? On my Goodreads, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. But the more I think about it, the more I really do love this book. It makes me smile to think about the time I had reading this book. So I just bumped it up. It gets a 10 out of 10 now. It's one of my favorites. It's on my favorite list. Definitely go read it if you like historical fiction. Definitely go read it if you need more bisexual rep. And again, this book was published in 2019, so we're just starting to get more rep for the bis, which is amazing. But I think this was not one of the first, but definitely one of the first in historical fiction, in my opinion. And between Virginia Boecker and Mackenzie Lee, who are doing a lot with regards to queer history or historical fiction that then puts queer people as the center of the story, we're just chipping off the tip of the iceberg there. So that's all I have to say about An Assassin's Guide to Love and Treason by Virginia Boecker. Feel free to like and subscribe, I guess, if that's what you want. I don't really care. I just want to talk about books until the world burns down. So here we are. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and throw me a recommendation if you can think of anything. If you liked this book, let me know. If you hated this book, we can talk about it. I have no problem doing that. All of these things are just my opinion, so anyway. Peace out, YA nerds.